Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. My dad passed away a few months ago. I'm the youngest of his 3 children. I worked for him, we were very close, and he added my name to some of his property about 5 years ago. He and Mom agreed that I'd be the PR of his estate, and my half-siblings were okay with that when he passed. Some land, houses, cars are going through probate. Dad told me he didn't trust my brother after all the things that happened in their relationship. My dad used to be just as generous with my brother as he was with me over the years. Dad even took in a few pets he bought and then couldn't handle, not just one, but 2 parrots. Between what happened with my brother's ex, she stole a lot of money from my family while she worked for them, and how they raised their daughter, my brother is still letting his ex-wife financially abuse their adult dependent child, like taking car loans out in her name for herself and not their daughter, and spending her COVID checks. That made my dad sick, and he didn't want to give anything to my brother that his ex might get a hold of. I thought about sharing that land with my half-siblings, I guess as a way to try and fix how unhappy my half-siblings were with their inheritance relationship with our dad. But I wanted to take care of the probate first. I'm grieving, moving, and pregnant right now. A few months ago, we all agreed to sell my dad's assets, pay dad's bills with that money, and then split the money instead of owning dad's estate jointly. They read a rough draft via email about that and liked it and said to mail them copies and they'd sign. And then my brother called me to say that they weren't comfortable with signing the agreement until I gave them an equal share of the land our dad had given me back in 2017, meaning I wouldn't be able to sell anything. We'd all be stuck owning things together unless I gave them land now. My dad had 1 credit card in his name with a $7,000 balance on it, and I needed to sell something from the estate to take care of that debt. My brother even said it felt awkward and knew it came off as a personal attack. He said it was mostly our sister, the one who had basically no relationship with our dad, who was making this an issue. He said she needed the reassurance of me sharing the land first before she felt comfortable taking care of probate. He said it wasn't fair that dad had also given me other things as well, basically making it seem like sharing this land would be the least I could do since dad gave me more. The more I thought about this, the more confused I got. I'm angry and annoyed that they think they can try to force my hand like this. I'm also not close to them, and it feels like they're trying to bully me now that dad's gone. They didn't have the same kind of relationship my dad and I did. I moved out of state and still visited monthly. My siblings rarely called or came by. I lost my dad in my early 30s. They've had many more decades to have a relationship with him. Will I be the a-hole if I didn't share? Not the a-hole. Sounds like another episode of family finding their opportunity to leech off of whatever your dad left. I hope you find a way to sort this through, or someone with more knowledge comes here and helps. It's not their place, and now is not a good moment to ask for something they didn't earn or deserve. I'm also sorry for your loss and hope your pregnancy goes well. Why do they feel entitled to the land you've had since 2017? That shouldn't even be something worth mentioning because it was something gifted to you before his death. Your father told you how he wanted things to be, and you're trying to be as generous with your half-siblings as you possibly can with what is left of your father's assets, and something you've had your name on for years simply doesn't count as one of his assets in my book. You may want to get legal guidance on the matter, but I wouldn't give them anything that wasn't agreed upon. Doesn't sound like they did much to deserve anything from your father anyways. Good luck, OP, and I'm sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. You don't need them to sign anything. Talk to an estate attorney that has a free consultation and pick their brain. Pretty sure you can petition the probate court to make you executor and distribute the remaining balance of the estate as your father wanted. Set up a trust account to put your brother's money into so his ex-girlfriend doesn't bleed him dry. The land is not part of the estate since it has been deeded into your name. You don't need their permission or a signature on a letter as long as the court appoints you as executor, and I don't think they're going to do all the work to get his bills paid or to distribute his assets. You can politely let them know that the land is in your name and will not go through probate court, nor will it be considered part of the estate. It's gross that they're trying to hold out to get the property by withholding the signatures that you don't even need. Don't cave to their petty demands. Bottom line, property isn't part of the estate and is yours to do with as you please. Sorry for your loss and the greedy siblings. Good luck with everything and the pregnancy. I'm already the executor. And you're right, my land isn't part of the estate, but I need the permission of the other heirs to sell estate property in order to settle my dad's debts. They're saying they'll only sign if I give them my land, so now I'm going to have to talk with my lawyer and see about other options to pay the debt. I'm certain a judge would force the estate to sell something if the heirs can't agree, though. Not the a-hole. Whether it's fair or not, which it sounds like it was, you're not responsible for your father's choices and who he decided to give his assets to. If they aren't happy with the way you're splitting assets, then they need to come up with an alternative way to settle the debt. The fact that they were originally okay with the agreement, but then later came with an issue feels greedy to me. Also, you might contact the bank or the lawyer regarding your ownership of the land. This is kind of a confusing story, but somewhat similar to your situation. My husband's grandparents passed away a few years ago and left the house to their 3 kids, his mom, his aunt, and his uncle. One of my husband's brothers bought out the uncle's share of the house to help cover some legal fees. My husband's brother and his wife moved into the house for a while so the house could be kept up. And then later they refinanced and bought out the other 2 siblings, his mom and his aunt. Long story short, there may be a workaround on selling your portion of land, but I would get a legal opinion on it. Next story. I recently got married. Before H, 31 male, and I, 21 female, got married, he wanted me to stay at home while he worked since he has a great job. If I wanted to work, I could use my money on me for my expenses. I worked before the wedding, but with wedding planning that I did alone without the help of H because he didn't want to, and working 70 hours a week, it became too much, so I quit. Mother-in-law lives with us 6 to 10 months out of the year. Will move in with us when father-in-law retires. She is emotionally and mentally draining, always undermining me. He is a mama's boy and believes his mom is always right. I did most of the cooking and the cleaning, etc., but the credit always went to her and H would tell me to do better. Then, H and mother-in-law started telling me to start working because I had too much time on my hands and it wasn't as if I was doing much in the house since mother-in-law took care of everything. Again, I did most of the work, but credit went to her. If I told H that I did it, he wouldn't believe me. Before we got married, H and I would go out, have date nights, but now even if I ask to get coffee, he refuses, tells me to be practical. If I ask to go out for dinner, he'll say no, but when his sisters in their 30s ask, he instantly agrees, paying for them and their families. Before we got married, H told me he'd pay me a monthly allowance to cover any expenses I had while I stayed at home. But after we got married, he claimed that money was tight, so he couldn't. Considering that I had bills and loans to pay off, was unhappy at home, and was constantly told by mother-in-law and H to start working, I decided to work. Mother-in-law went back, so now I work and do everything in the house. Will help taking care of his niece since his sister lives with us. I do most of the chores. I asked H to help around a little bit, but he says he's too tired after work. He works from home while I don't, and that if I expect him to help out in the house, I need to start paying him half the mortgage. I refused because I'm only asking him to help a little. He lived alone before we got married, so he's capable of it. Plus, we went over this before the wedding. He keeps demanding that I need to start paying half of the mortgage since I live here for free and work regardless of whether or not he helps out in the house. He's very comfortable with money, not struggling at all. He also gets money from father-in-law monthly. I do all the chores, all the cooking, buy things for the house, furniture, decor, and necessities because mother-in-law wouldn't let me when she was here. I also paid for 2 mini vacations we took while he claimed that paying for the honeymoon was more than enough. I make less than half of what he does. I'm rarely consulted for decisions in the house. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and H make all the decisions. I'm never made aware of any plans. I already do more than what we agreed to before the wedding while working. I don't think I need to pay him anything. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay him half the mortgage? I don't get these kinds of posts. Can you not see all the red flags waving in your face as you type this? You're not a wife. You're a slave to this entire family. Your H doesn't respect you, and neither does the rest of H's family. You will never do anything good enough or be good enough for them. You've been bamboozled into giving your life away to be their servant and whipping girl. And if you have kids, good luck getting to have any kind of say in anything regarding parenting them. Get the frick out ASAP, not the a-hole. OP, like many other women, has probably been raised to not see these behaviors as red flags. She's probably here because When she asks the people closest to her if this behavior is problematic, they're telling her it's nothing to worry about, it's completely normal, or she's not trying hard enough. When you've been raised wearing rose-tinted glasses, red flags just look like flags. It seems Opie has reached a point of exasperation where she's taken the glasses off for a moment, rubs her tired eyes, and suddenly notices all these red flags that were just flags before. She needs us to help her keep seeing those red flags for what they are, not to insult her. Not the a-hole. You need to go. I feel like it's only going to get worse, and mother-in-law and father-in-law are going to be living with you full-time before too long. I feel like it will only get worse once that happens. Start saving money like crazy in a separate savings account he does not know about. Use a good friend or family member's address for the bank account so you never accidentally get mail about it. I'm sorry you're going through this. Not the a-hole. You are young enough and resourceful enough to manage this situation so that this doesn't define you for the rest of your life. I'm not going to pass comments as to what you should do about your marriage, but you need to do something to preserve your sanity and to protect yourself financially. Seek professional legal and emotional assistance if that isn't the right decision for you. I sense that you come from a cultural background that has gender role expectations. It may help you to make friends outside of your own ethnicity so that you can see that there is more than one way to live. Best of luck to you as you extricate yourself from these challenging circumstances. Next story. I have 2 children, a son that's 2 and a daughter that's 2 months. So to get right to the point, my mother-in-law went from having no grandchildren to having 3 grandsons in the space of 13 months. My son is the 3rd grandson, and my mother-in-law never showed much of an interest in him. She didn't visit at all in the first year and would never call to see how he was. Both myself and my husband would send her pictures and updates, but she very rarely responded. At his first birthday party, she showed up 2 hours late and left about 45 minutes to go to her daughter's house. The way she acts with her other 2 grandsons has always been the complete opposite. She would visit them regularly, and on the rare occasions she responded to pictures of our son, it would be with pictures of the other 2 boys. Fast forward to this year, and our daughter was born. My mother-in-law was delighted as it was her first granddaughter. She's visited us numerous times to see our daughter, but completely ignores our son every time. He tries to interact with her, and she says, "Not now, I'm holding the baby," and other similar phrases. This bothers me as it hurts to see him pushed to the side like that. I feel if she's not interested in her grandson, then why be interested in her granddaughter? I told her she couldn't come to my house to exclude my son while interacting with and spoiling my daughter. She shows up with gifts for my daughter and never brings anything for my son. This resulted in an argument as she said she's entitled to spoil her granddaughter if she wants to. I responded by telling her until she can treat my children equally, she won't be seeing either of them. If she doesn't want to buy anything for my son, that's perfectly fine. I don't expect her to, but I won't have him growing up watching his sister get spoiled by her when he's completely ignored by her. She called me an ungrateful witch and left. Since then, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have both said I'd be an a-hole to deprive my daughter of that relationship, and I just need to suck it up for the sake of my daughter. My husband agrees with me and is on my side completely, but their reaction has me doubting myself. So, will I be the a-hole for not allowing my mother-in-law to see my daughter because of how she treats my son? Not the a-hole. As someone who grew up with a younger brother and grandparents who treated us the same way, I was the only girl in the family. I can tell you with certainty that you're doing the right thing. It took years and years of talking it out before my brother and I had a decent relationship because of the differences in the way our grandparents treated us. And good on your husband for having your back. Thank you for your perspective, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. I would never want that for my children. I've always been close to my siblings and would love for my children to be able to have the same bond. I'm glad you and your brother are at a place where you have a good relationship. Not the a-hole. You have 2 children and you need to look out for both of them. The evidence of the lifelong mental issues of young children who feel unloved by a family figure, which is a grandmother, suggests that it could really mess your son up if it continues for years. It's not about the gifts, but the image she presents of not loving your son. Not the a-hole. Unequal treatment is really damaging to little ones. If you let this continue, your boy will think that there is something wrong with him and that he is unworthy of being showered with affection like his sister. Grandparents don't have the right to play psychological games with kids. They don't get to set the rules and interactions with kids, and they don't have the right to be a-holes. Additionally, it is not only damaging to the one left out, the one who is spoiled often gets a kind of survivor guilt, realizing that they've been singled out as the special one over their sibling. It destroys the sibling relationship as well, so it is just an awful a-holy thing to do. Next story. My partner, male 49, and I, female 41, have been together for 11 years. We both have high-paying jobs and we spend significantly less than we earn. We're child-free. Under the restrictions, we both had to work from home. Therefore, we started renovating our apartment since we both spent a lot more time at home. We splurged on this renovation. We refurbished and only chose high-quality designer pieces. Anyway, this did not go so well with my sister-in-law, my partner's sister. I don't know if it's jealousy or not, but she was very clear that she was disappointed that we had all that money laying around and then spent it on renovation. Sister-in-law, female 42, is a CFO and her husband is CEO, both in large companies. In other words, they don't lack funds. They live in a big house and have multiple cars. They also have 3 kids, male 14, male 10, male 9. This year, we got their Christmas list very early with a side note. You can put your money into better use. This list included 2 iPhone Pro Max, 1 iPad Pro, 1 Apple Watch gaming computer, a PS5, FIFA 22, a ski trip, ski gear. We just looked down the list in shock, and my partner said they may be joking. We were always given books and simpler things and never got anything in return. My partner called his mother then to see if we got the wrong list. She said no, but your sister thought that because you don't have a family, you can afford splurging on your nephews. My partner then told me that that's really not much to do and that maybe we should get some of the stuff on the list. I completely refused and told him the kids weren't our responsibility at all and that we should ignore the list and just do the usual. He told me fine. I will get them from my own money then. We have joint account as well as private ones. So I know I can't tell him what to do with his own money, but I feel so mad and have been sulking this whole weekend. He thinks I'm an a-hole for it. Am I the a-hole for refusing to chip in and still be sulking even if the money doesn't come from my own pocket? In my defense, I never cared about money. I would have gladly helped should they need it. I just feel like they're using us and that they don't see us as family. Not the a-hole. The little side note on the list would be enough for me to not want to buy them anything anyway. Christmas gifts are not about the price but the cost. You do not owe them anything. You're not the a-hole. But your husband is for sulking and for not sticking up to his own sister. Take the money you would have spent on the expensive gifts and donate the money in the child's name. Then send a note to your sister that says, due to your more than adequate income, we decided to pay it forward this year in your child's name, as they will get plenty of expensive gifts while some children get none. Not the a-hole, but now your bigger problem is your partner. The fact that he's willing to indulge his sister's rude and crass behavior means that she will go even further next time. Is he always like this with his family?